Question: does cycling in a big polluted city bring any health benefit at all? Or is it better not to cycle? Here's what the latest research says. So we all know that cycling is good for us. It's been shown in a myriad of scientific papers, lots of papers showing that it's good for our cardiac health, can reduce blood pressure, help with weight loss. It's good for low impact. It's a low impact exercise for those with bad joints. So it's often been called the perfect exercise. But I live in London and I commute, it could be a couple of hours a day. And I've often wondered, when you're cycling through the polluted parts of the city and you're breathing in all those fumes, the particulates, the carbon monoxide, whether breathing in those fumes negates any of the health benefits that you get from cycling. And I have looked around for this research and there hasn't been any. So I was really pleased to come across a paper that does exactly this. So this new paper has just been published in Preventative Medicine. I'll put the link down below. But what they did is they used one marker in air pollution, which is PM 2.5. Now these are small particulates. They're 2.5 microns. And they come from diesel fumes, car exhausts. The problem with these particulates is that they're so small that they bypass all your natural defense mechanisms. So if you're behind a diesel car, you breathe them in, and these particulates are so small that they pass through the lungs. They're not stopped by the alveoli or the cilia, the hairs in your lungs, and they pass directly into the bloodstream. And there they can cause all the problem. They've been implicated in atherosclerosis, heart disease. In a nutshell, what this study did is measure the particulates, the concentration particulates, these PM 2.5s, in different cities all over the world, from cities that weren't very polluted to those that were very polluted. And then they tried to define a cutoff when the cycling didn't become beneficial anymore because the city was so polluted, and how far you'd have to cycle in those environments. If you're interested, this was an epidemiological study with meta-analysis, so they combined different data sets from different published papers and ran them all through a computer simulation. I'll put the link to this paper down below so that you can read it and critique it as you wish. So the results were interesting, and what they found was, even in polluted cities, you could cycle for 1.5 hours a day and still have a net benefit in terms of overall health from cycling. So if you're cycling some of the cleaner cities, such as London or some of the European cities, you could cycle for hours and not have an overall negative impact compared to people who didn't cycle. So that was a very positive thing that came out of this study. So just an example, Delhi is 10 times more polluted than London. And even in Delhi, you'd have to cycle for over 1.5 hours a day for it to have to negate the health benefit from cycling or walking. Now, I have to say here that it doesn't mean pollution's not important. In fact, completely the opposite. Earlier this year, again, the link down below, there was a report from the Royal College of Physicians, and that indicated that there were 40,000 deaths in the UK resulting from pollution. So it doesn't mean pollution's not important, but what they did in this study is compare those people who did no activity to those that did. So even in polluted environments, there's still a benefit. So overall, I was really pleased to find this result, because I commute every week. I've often thought, is it worth it? Every time I pass a bus that's throwing out diesel fumes, I try and hold my breath when I'm passing a bus, or if a bus is passing me. And I always think, is it worth it? Is it worth doing this? Am I doing more harm than good? So I was really pleased with this study that overall, the health benefit, it's still worth it to do this, to cycle in a big city. Now, of course, no studies perfect, no scientific papers perfect, and there are a couple of flaws in this paper, which they do point out themselves, and that is they didn't look at local environments. So there might be different parts of a city that are really You might get local hotspots of high pollution, and of course they couldn't zone in on those particular areas for all cities in the world. And also they didn't look at impacts, the effect of accidents, so that could be collision. So this is just looking at particulate matter. And the other thing that they didn't mention is that, of course, pollution isn't just made of particulate matter. There are other things in there, nitrous oxide in pollution, there's ozone. All those things also have a negative effect on health. So, but they didn't really look at those. They just looked at particulate matter. But overall, this was quite a big meta-analysis. So it gives a good indication that even it gives us something to get our teeth into, that cycling is still worthwhile, even in polluted cities. So, in summary, the news is good. So if you are thinking of cycling, or you've been using pollution as an excuse, then it shouldn't be an excuse, at least until maybe a bigger study will come along. But at the moment, this seems to be the best indicator that get on your bike and cycle. Even in a polluted city, it will still give you that health benefit. Good news.